notwithstanding the rider comments. Thank you. That was a very kind introduction, Wilf. I appreciate that. Thanks to the Chamber for hosting this particular event, and to the sponsors that have made the event possible. It's very good also to have Ambassador Numata here, and I know we're going to hear from him just a little bit later. We are here as part of our ongoing international engagement program with the government of Saskatchewan, and I'm going to get into more details here in a moment. But as regards our relationship with Japan, it's a long-term relationship now, stretching over the decades and involving agriculture and the coal-fired industry, the industrial industry, potash certainly, and it's developed into quite a friendship, one that we treasure. And so when Japan was dealt a terrible blow 2 years ago by the tsunami, Saskatchewan people wanted to help, and they stepped up. We're only at 1.1 million people, but they provided and raised $2 million to support relief efforts here. $1 million of it came from the Potash Corporation of Saskatchewan. Our thoughts and prayers were with you then, and they're with you now, even as the rebuilding continues and the amazing resiliency of Japan is on full display. We're not just friends, though, even this week. We're actually teammates, because teeing off, I think in just a few hours at Jack Nicklaus's course in Ohio, will be all of the competitors in what's known as the President's Cup, the International Professional Men's Championship, where 10 of America's best golfers play 10 of the world's best golfers. Hideki Matsuyama is playing for Japan. He's qualified for the team. And Canada's best golfer, a fellow by the name of Graham Dillette. He's from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. So we're going to be teammates. We're allies and obviously good friends with the United States, but not this week. I want to offer a couple of observations about optimism that I have for the Canada-Japan relationship. The reasons are this. The appointment of Ambassador Mackenzie Clugston is one of the reasons. For our friends in the room here, this is an important signal from our Foreign Affairs Minister, Minister Baird, and the Prime Minister, because His Excellency is well known and well regarded as one of the best trade representatives in the diplomatic service for our country. And his posting here, I think, is an encouraging sign about the priority that is being placed on the relationship by our federal government in Ottawa. The other reason, I think, for some optimism about the relationship is the recent visit of Prime Minister Abe to Ottawa to see our Prime Minister Harper. The affinity they've obviously developed, there's a personal rapport there. There's great agreement, I think, on the importance of freer and fair trade. But I think there's a personal connection there, as there is between their spouses. And so I think we should be very hopeful about the relationship. It's been very, very good all these years, and I think it's about to get even better. Wilf alluded to this opening that I have for you today. And it's an observation by our delegation that there does seem to be a different, as we would say back home, a different buzz about the economy here. A different energy than was here just in 2010 when I was here last for a trade mission. Maybe it's Abenomics, maybe it's the Olympics or both, or any number of things. But it's palpable. We can sense it just as observers. We read about it coming here, and you can feel it here. And so we congratulate you. And we look forward to what's going to come of that, because frankly we know that what's good for Japan and this economy is very good for Canada and very good for the world. And this energy, this vitality, actually is something that we share. And it was alluded to by the chairman as well, but we have that now in Saskatchewan and have had for the last few years. And I want to acknowledge Lionel and the team from Saskatchewan, entrepreneurs who are part of creating that kind of a buzz, that kind of energy in our Saskatchewan, so that we can see unprecedented growth, so that we can be a leader in GDP growth in Canada as we are among the provinces, so that we can have the lowest unemployment rate in the country, so we can have a broader tax base to lower the rates, to pay off some debt, to do some of the things that were alluded to. And I want to tell you this, in our province we are committed, we are determined to continue that growth. To the extent government can influence it, and we know typically it's the entrepreneurs that create the advantage. But to the extent that we can influence it, we're going to do that through a growth plan that we announced a year ago now. The growth plan has common sense, basic elements to it: competitive taxes, competitive labor legislation. We want to build out our infrastructure. We're going to be using P3s to do that. We want to have fiscal probity as a hallmark of our growth plan, and we want to engage. We want to tell our story. Saskatchewan is a place of immense natural resources. We are blessed to have them within our borders. About 40% of the world's potash reserves, 20% of the world's uranium production. We're Canada's second largest producer of oil. About 18 million hectares of agricultural land. 40% of all of Canada's agricultural land, arable land, is located in Saskatchewan. And so we have a story to tell. And that's why international engagement is a big part of our growth plan as well, because we know that we're going to need help if we're going to consume all these wonderful things that we have to offer, or even better, if we're to add value to those things, we're also going to need partnerships and help from places like Japan. But that is why we're here on this trade mission. It's why we'll go to the Philippines a little bit later. It's why we'll go to Singapore. As for today, I have really two objectives. I simply want to say thank you, number one, to Japan, to all of you. And then I want to talk a little bit about how we can build the relationship that already exists on into the future. We have a lot to be thankful for in terms of our relationship, Saskatchewan's relationship with Japan. About 75% of the potash market here in Japan is served by Canpotex's shareholders. And I want to acknowledge Steve here again as an unpaid Canadian diplomat. He has done great things for our province for a very, very long time. 75% of the market because of the work that he and Ishii have done in this market. And there's customers that are here today. In fact, we say thank you to Sojitz, Zeno, and Mitsui, just to name a few. Sumitomo as well. We're grateful. We say thank you for the partnership that we've had with respect to uranium. About 35% of the uranium imports to this country came from the province of Saskatchewan in 2012, and we even have companies like Idemitsu and JCU who are investing in our province, investing in mining development in the province of Saskatchewan. We have much to be grateful for, and may I just say this respectfully, that should Japan decide to move forward with nuclear power in the future, we hope to again continue that relationship of supplying uranium to this economy. In agriculture, we have much to be thankful for. As I've mentioned, 18 million hectares grows a lot of agricultural products. In fact, about 8,000 metric tons of mustard were shipped into this market, grown by Saskatchewan farmers. 50% of all your canola seed imports come from Saskatchewan canola farmers. About 83% of your durum wheat, which makes, of course, pasta, and among other things, comes from our farmers. And this is very important, very, very strategic. 17% of your barley imports it's malting barley, used to make beer, Sapporo beer and others here, comes from farmers in the province of Saskatchewan. That's right. So there's a 1 in 6 chance, if you're enjoying a beer here in Japan, that the barley was grown in Saskatchewan. Here's an interesting story, by the way, in terms of what we want to offer to our partners in Japan on the agricultural front. The barley, the particular barley in question, was really requested, was customized for this particular market, for the brewing needs of the industry here. And we worked through our crop development expertise, partnering with the requests that were coming from the brewers with our producers as well, to develop a variety that fit the bill for malt barley in this particular market. And that's the kind of offer that we want to make going forward. So we have a lot to be thankful for. We also want to note that it's a great two-way relationship. We are buying machine parts and bulldozers and thermal generators and scrapers and cranes. We have a great partnership with Hitachi now that's almost as old as I am. And just earlier this week, well, just yesterday actually, there was a ship launching. My wife Tammy had the chance to name or christen a brand new ship after our capital city, Regina, that will take potash around the world. In fact, it's now disembarked for Vancouver. It'll fill up with Saskatchewan potash and then head over to India. Imobari built the ship, and so that's another good example, and they've built others, by the way, of the value chain proposition that is our relationship. So that our potash resource, yes, it's consumed and purchased here and sometimes sold from here to other parts of Asia, but there's also jobs created here in manufacturing and value added, for example, in the shipbuilding industry. So we say thank you for the friendship and the partnership of the past and the friendship and the partnership that exists today. What about tomorrow? Well, I want to tell you a little bit about the opportunity that we think exists in Saskatchewan for this relationship to continue. Earlier this year, a senior economist with one of our major chartered banks was giving a bit of a speech that got some headlines around the country, and he noted that the growth area in Canada, the area of our country that is leading the growth, is in the west. The three westernmost provinces of British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. He actually said that the place to be of all of those three was Saskatchewan. I think he knew a little bit about the agricultural opportunities that exist. For example, we are the world's largest exporter of lentils, durum wheat, oats, flaxseed, canary seed, and mustard. There was a monopoly wheat board situation that has now ended, opening up the marketing opportunities for agricultural products in our country, similar to what we've had for some time in pulses and in what we call off-board grains. What that means, again, to potential customers here is the chance to customize products, the chance to add a little value in a partnership and to design and develop, frankly, including new crop varieties, exactly what our customers might need. There is opportunity in energy with respect to uranium, and we have great partners here in Japan who have invested in uranium mining in Saskatchewan. We're lowering royalties in the uranium sector. We need to do that. We want to be competitive so that we could potentially attract more uranium mining investment. We're investing in infrastructure. We've promised $30 million for a highway known as Highway 914 that connects important uranium resources in the north part of our province. We've said to the industry, we'll put in 30 if you will put in 30, and that road, ladies and gentlemen, is going to get built. Also in energy, we are Canada's second largest producer of oil, home to our share of a geological formation known as the Bakken Formation. We share it grudgingly with North Dakota and Montana. This is the largest conventional geological oil surveyed find, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, in North America, bigger than Prudhoe Bay. There's coal and there's also natural gas. And there is opportunity in our province in innovation, in value added, in LNG technology, transportation technology development possibly, in nuclear medicine, small reactor development, at our brand new Centre for Excellence at the University of Saskatchewan to focus on the opportunities around uranium value added, and in clean coal, in carbon capture and sequestration. We're proving in Saskatchewan, and I'm not sure how this is going to translate, but we're proving in Saskatchewan that clean coal is not an oxymoron. Is there a word for oxymoron? We can add, yeah. The centerpiece of our innovation agenda can be found at this particular facility in the southeast corner of our province, very near the border with the United States. It's at a power station that's operated by Sask Power. That's the government-owned electrical utility. The Boundary Dam project, it's known as Boundary Dam or Boundary Dam 3, will be the world's first large-scale commercial power plant with a fully integrated post-combustion carbon capture system. It is 99% complete. It will go live in April, and it works. It captures 90% of the CO2, making it cleaner than natural gas. And of course, it deals with all of the other emissions and particulates that we want to take care of. It's a $1.24 billion project, and it will begin, it'll start in earnest next April, though some initial testing startups, I think, are going to be happening this fall. Boundary Dam will capture 1 million tons of CO2 every year. We've sold it all. All the CO2 has been sold to oil companies because many in this room will know that one of the most efficient solvents for enhancing oil recovery, for injecting it into old oil fields that are thought to be mature and depleted, is CO2. So we will improve production in thought to be mature and depleted assets in oil. The companies, that's why they're prepared to pay for the CO2. We will then take it back and store it geologically, and we have 10, 15 years of experience in terms of storing CO2 in southeast Saskatchewan. By the way, we're going to be aided in the storing of CO2 in an efficient and safe way by a Japanese partnership that we were able to sign just earlier this week in Hiroshima with Chugai Technos, who've developed a great CO2 monitoring technology that we're going to be able to use at that particular site. And they're coming in November to start deployment of the technology. They should have maybe choose June or July and not November. It'll be very cold, but that's when they're coming. This is game-changing technology, ladies and gentlemen. This coal's not going anywhere. We see it in Japan. It's part of the future fleet of electrical generation. That's also true in North America. It's certainly true in emerging economies. So imagine then, if we can, on a post-combustion basis, develop this technology, potentially commercialize it so it's available to others around the world. It is a game changer. We're offering, by the way, partnerships through a new consortium that has been established, and we've had some early entrees into the consortium already. Mike Manya is the president of the Carbon Capture Division of SaskPower. Maybe just give us a quick wave in case folks, Mike Manya is from SaskPower and has joined us as well. A major partner for us in the project is Hitachi because of the generation refit at the actually BD3, and they're also a partner in another testing facility, another carbon capture facility at another generating facility owned by SaskPower, a $60 million carbon capture facility, and the partnership is with Hitachi, who've already committed to $30 million. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are opportunities that we need to pursue, both in terms of expanding what we already do out of gratitude, but also pursuing new opportunities on the innovation front, new technologies, value-added opportunities, and we look forward to that partnership continuing. Please accept our thanks for the friendship that exists today and our invitation to expand the partnership into the future. That partnership is, after all, informed by more than just commerce. It's not just a business proposition. It is informed by friends. It's informed by family. Because of a very great influence on my life personally by a Japanese-Canadian family, our government's never going to take the relationship for granted because of the commercial opportunity, yes, but because of what it means. That family, by the way, they're named the Wakabayashis of Saskatoon and now of Regina. The patriarch was Tokujiro Wakabayashi. He was born in a small community near Kyoto more than a century ago. Tokujiro immigrated to Canada in 1916. He worked for a while in British Columbia, then in Alberta, and then he saw the light and came to Saskatchewan. And for more than 50 years, he and his family operated a fantastic small business. It's a fabric and sewing business in Saskatoon called Mikado Silk. The shop was very popular. People traveled from all around Saskatchewan to be patrons of this great business and of this great family. Tokujiro ran the business with his wife Kimi, and they raised a family. They had 3 kids, Arthur, Ruby, and George. Arthur, or Art as we know him, went on to earn a master's degree at Harvard and became well-renowned for being one of the leading public servants in the country, certainly in our province. He was a Deputy Minister of Finance in Saskatchewan. He was our delegate to the Canada-US Free Trade negotiations on behalf of the province of Saskatchewan. And for a time, I had the pleasure of living with the Wakabayashis. When I was a university student and had sort of forgot to make arrangements to actually get an apartment to live in during the summer, I befriended and I knew Doug Wakabayashi at university, and so they invited me into their home. I learned a lot sitting around that dinner table, listening to Art, to Mr. Wakabayashi, talk about his day, talk about his thoughts. It was really like having a professor at the supper table every night. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor at a more propitious time. I think there's a Japanese proverb that goes something like, "One kind word can warm 3 winter months." Art Wakabayashi adjusted that for the Canadian winter because he offered much more than just one kind word to me. There was a lot of encouragement and there was a mentorship. He became a member of the Order of Canada. That's our country's highest honor. He was awarded Japan's Order of the Rising Sun. And like so many others before him and the companies that are here, the Wakabayashis have helped build our province. And they are a constant reminder of the potential of the relationship, of the history of the relationship, and we want to be mindful and stewards of both. So thank you for this opportunity, and what will follow a little bit later on with STEP. I look forward to trying to answer your questions. Domo arigato.